Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Thursday afternoon here in Azeroth, and we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be going over this plus 23 Nexus Point Zenith controversy that sprouted up in the last couple of days. And it honestly begs some questions about the Mythic Plus system in general and how competitive Mythic Plus can work within the framework of World of Warcraft. So we'll be getting into all of that, plus some of the WoW news. We've got some TBC anniversary news, the add-on trial contest winners, and a lot to go through. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before I get into any of the news, I will do a quick rundown of what we were up to last week in World of Warcraft. As I mentioned in the previous episode, I traveled last week to Los Angeles, California to attend my daughter's wedding. And the wedding itself was very beautiful. I did not get to spend any time in Azeroth last week. I took my laptop with me thinking maybe I'll jump on and play a little bit, but no, I was very busy with not just wedding stuff, but when you move from LA to Cincinnati, the food scene here in Cincinnati is, if you grew up with it, it's great. But if you've showed up here, especially after having lived in Los Angeles for my entire life, the food here is a little bit lacking. So we definitely ate our way through LA last week. I was definitely feeling it on the plane, like a little bit swollen, but no worse to wear. So the wedding was great. It was very nice, and I got to spend some time with some friends back in LA, and it was just overall a really good trip. One thing that I will say that I truly missed in LA over everything else was In-N-Out Burger. Holy shit. We had In-N-Out 3 times on the trip, and it's not that, oh my God, it's the best burger ever, but it's just, it hits just right. And that's what you're used to. There's the whole debate, In-N-Out versus this burger versus that burger. And even In-N-Out's overrated. And you know what? In a lot of ways it is. It's just a regular burger. There's nothing special about it. It's just fresh ingredients cooked right on the spot. It tastes great. And I missed it. So, that was a lot of fun. The flight itself was, a little chaotic. So we got into, this is the flight out there. I booked a window seat and a middle seat. So my wife wanted to take the window seat. So I said, that's fine. So we get to our seats and it's row 30, which has no window because the fuselage is blocking the window. So we were trapped in this row with no window, and there were no less than 5 screaming kids in the back of the plane on the entire flight from Cincinnati to LA. It was like a 4-hour flight. So that was no fun. And then on the way back, we said, you know what, screw it, we're going to upgrade. So we upgraded our tickets on the way back, had a nice, calm, peaceful red-eye flight back to Cincinnati. And it was very nice. I had a good time overall. My daughter was stressed out of her mind. But she looked lovely. The wedding was beautiful. It was my first time in a Catholic church since 25 years ago. So it's been a minute, and I was not really prepared for the Catholic wedding ceremony because I had never. The only thing I'd ever done at a Catholic church was a funeral. So it's a slightly different service there, but it's cool, and I got to mingle with some of the new family members, some of whom are a little weird, but it's okay. Got to meet all the groom's family, and it was just really nice. And of course, I had to walk my daughter down the aisle, which was awkward because when you get to the end of the aisle, we're supposed to bow before the statue of Jesus, which was really weird to me because I am not only am I not Catholic, I'm not religious at all. So that was a little odd. But you know what? I didn't want to cause issues, so I just did it for my daughter. But overall, it was a good week. Had a great time, but I was exhausted. Came back on a red eye. Monday night, Tuesday morning, slept pretty much all of Tuesday. Wednesday was spent trying to recover, unpack, and try to put my life back together. So yeah, now here I am talking to all of you because I meant to do this 2 days ago. I thought, oh, I'll come back and I'll do my podcast on Tuesday. It'll be fine. No, I slept Tuesday. And Wednesday was spent just in a daze trying to recover. What in the heck did I just do? So it's not like when I was younger when I would travel and it was easy. No, this is much more difficult. So yeah, there you go. That's what I did last week. No WoW, unfortunately. I did log on last night a little bit because somebody needed a belt crafted, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll jump on real quick. But after flying around Shatrath for a couple minutes, I was like, I don't actually want to play right now. I can't put my brain in that place. So I'll probably jump on tonight and do a little bit, and then I got raid on Friday and Saturday, so that'll be the week coming up. But yeah, that was the whole thing. So sorry there's no WoW content here, but this is what I got up to last week. So there was a lot more that went on, but overall the wedding was really cool, and I had a good time. My youngest daughter, who was also the maid of honor, caught the bouquet. So much to her boyfriend's, I don't know if he was happy about it or not, but they had a good laugh about it, and so that was fun. But yeah, we're probably gearing up for round 2 in the next year or two, so we'll see. All right, let's move on to the news.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so there's a new mount and pet available for the 6-month subscription. This has been made available. I actually got the little pop-up in my in my BattleNet launcher. But so the mount is the Sunflare Drift Moth. It looks pretty cool. It's got nice big moth wings and looks like a flying grub. It's one of those mounts that it's like, well, it's cool that I have it, but I'm never going to use this thing. But it adds to my total, right? So it's like, hey, I've got one more mount that I can add to the achievement or whatever it is. The Miss Pandaria classic progression service, you'll get the Sunflutter Drift Moth pet. No mount on classic, just a pet. But yeah, I think these are also available for purchase. So if you don't have a 6-month subscription, which I understand some people don't want to be tied down that long, you go, I want to play and then quit when I am not playing. I'll play a different game. That makes sense. So that you can also purchase those. I think they're $25 for the mount and probably $15 for the pet. But I'm guessing here because I don't have it right in front of me, but if you really want them, they are available on the BattleNet store for purchase as well. So you can check those out. I'm not going to put a link because honestly, it doesn't really matter. You can go to the BattleNet store yourself. You're fully grown adults, probably. According to the Spotify numbers that I read through last week, I'd say 99.9% of you are fully grown adults. So yeah, there you go. Okay. Let's move on. The Add-on Trials Community Contest winners have been announced. This was the CurseForge Add-on Trials contest, where they encouraged people to write new add-ons for WoW, and they actually included a few months back so that the recently created add-ons were eligible as well. But yeah, this one was actually kind of interesting. So the the winner was Ellesmere UI, which honestly, for anybody that's been following WoW user interface and add-on design, that's not a surprise. The one that did surprise me was that the housing decor guide dropped all the way down to number 6. I thought for sure that would be a little higher up, but it was not. Dander's Frames was number 2. Coolinator, which is a cooldown manager, was number 3. Easy Find Search Everything was number 4. Whisper Messenger, which is a really cool Whisper Messenger style UI change for the chat client was number 5. Retro Run Solo Legacy Raid Navigator, number 7. Fitter, which is Outfitter, number 8. W2 UI, another UI overhaul, was number 9, and Epithet, which was a add-on for titles, was number 10. So all in all, pretty good. I would definitely recommend checking these out. I will put this one in the show notes because this is something that I think people could be interested in checking out, some of these add-ons, because a lot of times when you go into Curse to get here's the add-ons that I need or whatever, you only see the top most popular add-ons. It doesn't really give you a way to find new cool add-ons. Like, you could see an add-on, you're like, hey, is this good or not? I don't know. There's no real scoring system. All you can see is how many downloads it has. So it is kind of difficult to find new add-ons, but this is to me, this is a really good way to check out something new, something different. So I would say, look at this and see if anything strikes your fancy. But the Ellesmere UI looks really cool, but it's basically just another type of Elv UI user interface. I think it's a little bit better, honestly. I don't really like Elv UI, but I don't like these full UI replacement things. That just doesn't work for me. I'm more of a standard UI type of person. So, but that's okay. Like I said, that's not for everyone, and that's all good. So, okay, there you go. That's the CurseForge add-on trials community contest. And you know what? Actually, one thing that I do want to mention before I move on from this, there was actually a significant prize pool for this. So Ellesmere UI got a $2,500 prize. Dangerous Frame, which was number 2, got a $1,500 prize, and the Coolinator, which was number 3, got a $1,000 prize. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then all of the rest, 4 through 10, they got $300 each. I mean, that's a pretty significant prize pool, which really makes you wonder how much money is CurseForge making from just providing add-ons to the WoW community. It's kind of interesting when you really break it down like that. It's a lot of cash for a contest like this. So congratulations to the winners, and congratulations to CurseForge for being whatever it is they are to the community. I know there was a lot of concern about Overwolf buying CurseForge and how that was going to play out with the WoW community, because there's a lot of, people get scared. They're like, well, I don't trust this company. They're going to steal my data. Every company out there is stealing your data. People, listen, if you're using Google, if you're using Apple, if you're using Microsoft, if you're using Yahoo, whatever it is that you use, they're all stealing your data. And not stealing, they're collecting data, and they use it for marketing purposes. That's how the internet works. If you think the internet's awesome because it's free, the internet's not really free, my friend. You are the product. You are providing a payment through your information, not through necessarily cash. And that's just how it works. So, do we still need to be cautious about companies who are collecting our data? Yes, we do. But I don't think just the fact that a company is collecting your data is in itself bad. I think you need to do your due diligence and understand what it is they're collecting. But overall, it's just part of life, unfortunately, in the modern world. So there you go. All right, let's move on. In classic WoW news, after an initial accidental post that gave the incorrect date for the Phase 3 launch for Burning Crusade Anniversary, Blizzard has corrected that and announced the correct date for the launch, which is August 27th. TBC Classic Anniversary Phase 3 will launch August 27th. Global launch 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 2300 British Standard Time. So there you go. That's when Illidan and You Are Not Prepared and all that stuff is going to happen. So we're going to get... So here's what's coming in Phase 3. 2 new raids. Black Temple, which is a 9-boss raid with Illidan as the final boss. And Battle for Mount Hyjal, which is a 5-boss raid with Archimonde as the final boss. If you're familiar with Mount Hyjal, you know that it's just a trash nightmare of waves of trash coming through. So you just stand in one spot and the trash comes to you. But if you wipe on the boss, you have to clear all the trash again. So it really sucks. Not looking forward to that one at all. That's probably my least favorite raid of all time. Maybe tied with Dragon Soul. Okay. The other thing that's coming with Mount Hyjal, though, is the ancient gem veins. So throughout Mount Hyjal, as you go from one of the camps to the next, you're going to see these ancient gem veins. You can mine them. It requires 375 mining, and you're going to get these epic jewel crafting gems. You could purchase patterns from the Scale of the Sands Quartermaster in Dormy that will allow you to make really, really powerful gems for your gear. I think it's like plus 10 strength or agility or whatever. The gems themselves are great. Patterns, I don't remember what the reps are for the different patterns, but I don't have a jewel crafter, so I don't have to worry about that. So but yeah, that's all coming in phase 3. Additionally, we have the Netherwing faction, so you can go start grinding those, doing those dailies, getting your eggs, which is going to be a nightmare on servers because we have mega servers. So yeah, we have shards or layers, but it's going to be rough. So yeah, check out the Netherwing faction dailies. And then finally, Arena Season 3 will start September 1st with the weekly reset. Arena Season 2 will end on August 18th. So just in case you are trying to get in your last bits before the new season starts. But that's what's coming with Phase 3 of Burning Crusade Anniversary. Now, what does this all mean for the timeline? Originally, when that tweet went out, it said August 13th was the launch date for Phase 3. And so that kind of threw off everybody's timeline because most people are expecting Midnight Patch 12.1 to drop on August 11th. So for Phase 3 to drop on August 13th would have been weird having both of those drop in the same week. That's all cleared up now because if indeed Patch 12.1 is going to drop on August 11th, that means Midnight Season 2 will start on August 18th. And then Phase 3 of TBC Anniversary will start on August 27th. And Arena Season 3 will start on September 1st. So the timeline all lines up now. BlizzCon September 12th. Everything works for this. And I know Blizzard has said multiple times, well, we don't match things up. And they do, though. They have to. You cannot just say, oh, we're going to release, Mists of Pandaria Phase 5 and Patch 12.0.7 and TBC Anniversary Phase 2 all in the same week. That doesn't work. You have to space it out. So, and not just for the players, but for the support teams on Blizzard staff. They need to be able to handle that as well. So, anyway, but Phase 3 will launch on August 27th. That means that Phase 2 will have lasted 15 weeks. So if we use that as a gauge for what we have coming up, my guess is that Phase 3 will probably be about the same. So look to have maybe Phase 4 sometime right before Christmas, would be my guess for anniversary. We'll have Phase 3.5 in there somewhere, which is going to be the Zulaman phase. I don't know exactly when. They'll line it up somewhere, but the Zulaman is a catch-up raid. And so I think a lot of people are like, well, why don't they just release it with Phase 3? The whole idea is that give you a chance to run Phase 3 raids a little bit, and then the people who haven't gotten their good drops can go run Zulaman and get some pieces of gear. Personally, I hate Zulaman, not because I don't like the fights or the raid or anything like that. The gear's just ugly because it's all troll themed, and I hate it all. My character finally looks so cool. He's got his full Rift Stalker set. He looks badass right now. I don't want to have to go in. Like, first of all, the Phase 3 raids, the Grand Stalker gear is terrible for the hunter. And then I'm going to have to wear all this weird troll gear. It's just going to be a mess. So anyway, so that's what we have coming up for everything. And if we do indeed get Phase 4 before Christmas, I have it currently just penciled in on December 17th, but who knows when it will actually launch. If that's the case, and we give another 16 weeks for Phase 4, that means we could potentially see a Wrath of the Lich King anniversary sometime in April of 2027. If indeed that is where Blizzard chooses to go. We'll find out more at BlizzCon. We have only a few weeks left. So it was just like 7-8 weeks before BlizzCon. So, yeah, it's exciting stuff. But this is what we have. This was on the slate for TBC anniversary, and there you go. All right, Moving on. This one was kind of interesting. I decided to report on this just because we don't always talk about China in terms of World of Warcraft, but China has banned any player rating add-ons in Classic WoW. Now, if you're not familiar with this one, there is a Warcraft logs add-on that allows you to modifies your tooltip. So when you hover over somebody, it shows you their best parses for whatever raids is current. So like right now it would be TBC and SSC. TK and SSC. So it will actually show those parses right on this. So you can hover over somebody and know instantly whether or not you should judge them. China has decided to ban these add-ons. Now, this is a translation from something that was put out in China. It says here, the WoW Classic China operations team has recently identified that across WoW Classic realms, including Titan Reforged, Mists of Pandaria Classic, Classic Era, and the 20th Anniversary Edition, some players are using third-party add-ons to display player rating data generated by external platforms within the game. This practice negatively impacts the normal gameplay experience and group finding environment. The WoW Classic China service strictly prohibits the use of third-party player rating add-ons. Any add-on that displays or distributes player rating data generated by third-party services within the game is prohibited. Players who have installed any prohibited add-ons must install them before July 20th, which has already passed. Beginning July 20th, any account found with a prohibited add-on installed, whether it is enabled or not, will be subject to account suspension. Repeat violations will result in progressively longer suspension periods. In addition, all World of Warcraft accounts under the same Battle.net account will also be subject to the suspension. Legitimate combat log analysis tools, personal performance analysis tools, and other compliant add-ons are not affected by this policy. So, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, we're talking about add-ons an awful lot in this episode so far. But one thing that I will say about add-ons is that they have the power to do good or evil for players. There's been some add-ons over the years that I feel are really bad for the player base. For example, if you play TBC Anniversary like I do, you know there's a gear score add-on currently floating around that some people use very heavily. And it's terrible because TBC still had a little bit of that, well, this item is best, but it's from the previous raid tier. Well, so now you've got, like, for me, for example, I was wearing my Beast Stalker gear for the entirety of phase 1 and phase 2 until I got my 4-piece last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And so it looks weird on your gear score because all gear score does is it looks at the item level for the piece of gear and it does some calculations. So anyway, yeah, gear score, terrible. If you played Wrath Classic, you know, the gear score was a scourge back then as well. You know, some of these are much more divisive than others and allow for a lot more toxicity. And this particular one I feel like is really bad because it just shows you a player's parse. Right. And if you've ever gone through Warcraft logs, you know that a parse is only part of the story. I don't put in the time and effort to parse high because I don't need to, because our group isn't built that way. I would be wasting gold if I bought all the consumes and all the mats to parse. If I was in a try-hard guild where we were going through, we were buying every cooldown, every add-on, having everything synced up. Yeah, it'd be a little bit different, but I'm not in that kind of guild. I'm not in that kind of group. We do want to do well, and it's always nice when people do parse high, but it's not required, and it's certainly not expected for anyone to do anything more than, you know, try to get out of great parses. That's kind of the motivation here. If you are hitting a couple great parses because you died, you had about whatever. But if you have mostly great parses, then that's when guild leadership is going to have you go to class coaching. And that makes sense because great parses basically means you didn't do the mechanics correctly, or you didn't have correct consumes, or maybe you didn't have a chance, or whatever it is that you're lacking. This is why. So anyway, yeah, the fact that this is being not only banned, but they're going to action accounts that have it enabled. It leads me to the next obvious point, which is, why can't we do this for bots? I mean, we know that there's a way that Blizzard can detect whether or not it's a bot. There has to be a way. And even if there's not a definitive way that Blizzard can find out, is this a bot? There's tools, there's got to be things that Blizzard can and does detect for this sort of thing. Now, one thing I will say in Blizzard's defense is that the bot developers and the people creating these things have gotten very clever and very creative about hiding this from Blizzard. And again, this is why Blizzard does ban waves instead of just banning people one by one, because if you let a bunch of accounts use the same bot software, the same scripts, then you can ban all of them at once. Whereas if you ban 10, 20 people, the bot developers are going to go, oh, they figured out how to detect this aspect of it. We're going to change that and make it harder to detect. So that's why they do it in ban waves. I know that's not everyone's favorite thing, but seeing this sort of thing, it's like, man, I wish that we had this level of accountability on people. Hey, did you buy gold? Yeah. Well, guess what? You're getting suspended 2 weeks. Oh, you bought gold again? Well, now you're getting suspended for 2 months. Oh, you bought gold again? Now you get 2 years suspension or your permanent suspension. That why are we letting people just get away with this? Fool me once. Okay. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. In other words, if Blizzard is letting people just do it again and again and again, and oh, now you get a 3-week ban. Oh, now you get a 3.5 week ban. No, give them a harsh ban. You don't need to close accounts out permanently. That's fine. But give them a harsh ban, because people need to understand that, no, you screwed up. You're ruining the economy. You're ruining the game. Get out. So, yeah, it's a problem. And I wish Blizzard was a little harsher on it. But I do understand that they can't have this level of accuracy on it because of the way that these bots are being written. But yeah, it's a big problem. And we'll get into that a little bit later with the Mythic Plus conversation. But bots are a big problem in WoW, and not just in Classic, but also in retail or Modern. And so yeah, I'm hoping that Blizzard can find some way to do something about it. But if not, well, this is the game that we're paying for, folks. And if it bothers you, then you have one choice, which is to no longer pay for the game. And I'm not advocating for anyone to quit playing WoW, but if it really bothers you to the point that you need to start, yelling at people on Twitter and trying to call people out, maybe it's time to move on. So anyway, okay. Speaking of moving on, let's get out of Classic. Let's jump into Modern World of Warcraft. Decor tools will no longer be available in patch 12.1. I guess Blizzard decided that this was not worth it. They are canceling or closing out Decor Duels. Heed the final call to join Decor Duels before the doors close in this final surge before the Curse of Ulatek goes live. To help you get the most out of it, we've made a few additional changes. Hiders will no longer be automatically revealed within 30 seconds remain in the match. Flies have been removed from hiders who stay in one location for too long. The energy increase rate for seekers has been reduced by 20%, and players will earn double the rate of illusionary coins. Once the dust settles and Decor Duels is no longer available, players will still be able to purchase decor items from the vendors in Silvermoon City. These changes will be available after weekly resets. So, yeah, Decor Duels going away. I couldn't have seen that one coming, but it's cool. It was a good idea. I think it probably just didn't work. And Blizzard looked at the system and said, nobody's participating in this because we screwed up. So we're just going to take it out. Rather than put the effort into fixing it, they're just going to get rid of it, which honestly, I wish they would do that more often. Sometimes they have a good idea that has a bad implementation and it's worth it to fix. I don't think that this was really a great idea, and I think it was a terrible implementation. So there's just really no good way to fix this, not without spending a lot of time essentially redeveloping the entire system. And maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they'll just come up with a new system that players can do to competitively earn housing decor via a currency. I don't know, maybe. But whatever they do, this is not it. This is not the way. This was an L from the beginning. And so it's unfortunate, but this is the reality. So Decor Duels, if you want any of that stuff that you can get from Decor Duels, if you haven't already bought out the vendor, now's your time to do it because everything's going to be doubled. So yeah, go check that out. Decor Duels will be going away. Speaking of changes in patch 12.1, there's a couple of things that have been data mined, and I don't want to go over too much of the data mine stuff because it could all change. Just a couple of things to toss out there. They are updating the friends list and social pane in patch 12.1, giving a little bit more information, kind of streamlining it a little bit. One thing interesting to note, though, is that the recruiter friend tab has been completely removed, and there doesn't seem to be a way to get access to that anymore. So I don't know if that's going to change. Maybe it'll be located somewhere else in the interface down the road. But for now, everything has changed. It's just you're going to get a little bit more information and have a little bit more of a clean, modern look to the interface. And I think as time goes on, Blizzard is just going to do more and more of this as they clean up some of these old-looking interfaces in the game. So good job there. There has been data mined artisanal interior room previews for player housing. This one is actually really interesting because, first of all, housing is one that I really messed with a lot, and I kind of pulled back because it's like, you know what, I want to let it breathe a little bit and I'll jump back in later. There's actually some really cool looking rooms here. You've got the Belemeth bedroom, Belemeth meeting room, Belemeth Temple Room, Belemeth Theater, Orgrimmar Council Room, Display Room, Stone Pit Theater, Silver Moon Armory, the Display Room Loft Study and Small Study, and then the Stormwind Armory, Display Room, Grand Hall, and Kitchen. There's been a few more that have been data mined, but we don't actually know what those look like yet. But yeah, I mean, this looks really good. Blizzard is definitely improving housing little bits at a time. And I think that's what we all have to remember, is that it's going to be little bits at a time. There's nothing fast here because this doesn't need to be done before midnight is finished. This is just part of the game now. And as the game moves forward, it's going to grow and iterate along with the game. So, just keep that in mind as we go through and you're looking at housing and you're like, hey, how come it didn't do this? Or how come Blizzard? It might be coming. It might be coming. But they've got to do it one change at a time because they don't want to break it. We saw what happened with the Orgrimmar elevators breaking housing. This is the type of thing that we have to let Blizzard do it nice and slow, because it's a cool feature, but it could very easily become the most hated feature if Blizzard lets it just fester with bugs. So anyway, really cool looking new interior rooms coming in patch 12.1. And finally, this was another item that was data mined. It is the Tunotron 6000. Now, we don't have any information about this, but the Tunotron 5000 was the name of the jukebox in the Alliance Garrison in Warlords of Draenor. So it's possible that we are getting a jukebox in our player housing, which would be really cool because, one, I liked having the ability to play the different music. That was fun. But what would be really cool with player housing is if you could take your jukebox and put it in different rooms. You're like, well, I want this room to have this song, and I want that room to have that song. Like if you have your house and you have a room for your human paladin and you have a room for your night elf druid, maybe your human paladin is playing the Stormwind music and your night elf druid is playing the, Lament of the Highborn or something. You could do that and have it really cool depending on what it is that you want for your house. So, and then that gives you a whole new thing to chase new recordings as well. I mean, obviously, right? You got to give things for people to go for them. So that would be really cool. But again, this is just data mined. We don't know exactly the details of how this is going to work. I just think that's one I definitely would want to see. So I'm hoping that this is actually going to show up. All right. Let's move on to what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. We're already moving through the week, so you probably already know what the bonus events and brawl and everything is, but I'm going to go through it anyway, just so that you have that information in case you missed it. The bonus event for this week is the Midnight Dungeon event. You're going to get the Sign of the Warrior buff. The final boss of each War Within dungeon will drop an extra item, and you can pick up the quest Emissary of War from Archmage Aethys Sunreaver in Silvermoon City to complete 4 dungeons on Mythic difficulty, and you'll be rewarded with a Hero Track raid item. Just a reminder, the Sign of the Warrior buff does not work for Mythic Plus and only works for normal, heroic, and Mythic 0. So yeah, there you go. The Midnight Dungeon event. This one's always really cool because if you are doing Mythic Plus, you get an extra hero track item. If that's like trying to gear up an alt, or maybe like me, you haven't gotten all hero track gear because you were playing Classic. This is a really good event to be able to do. I don't know that I necessarily want to go do any Mythic Plus right now, but you could do Mythic Zeros as well. It just has to be on Mythic difficulty. So you could go do 4 dungeons on Mythic 0 difficulty and still complete the quest. I think for a while in maybe Dragonflight, it was, or maybe War Within, it was Mythic or Heroic dungeons, which was really cool. But now it's just Mythic difficulty. So there you go. The Midnight Dungeon event. The Turbulent Timeways is continuing on. So this week we have Classic Time Walking. So you're going to get the Sign of the Past buff. Classic reputation gains from combat and quests increased by 50%. And you can pick up the quest An Original Path Through Time from Archmage, Aethys Sunreaver, and Silvermoon. You defeat 5 time-walking dungeons, and you will be rewarded with a hero track raid item. So, yeah, classic time-walking. I actually hate this one. This is not my favorite. The time-walking dungeons are the Deadmines, Zul'Farrak, Dire Maul Warpwood, Dire Maul Capital Gardens, Stratholme Main Gate, and Stratholme Service Entrance. The reason that I hate this one, excuse me, is because they redid the dungeons in the old style, but it's still the new versions of the dungeons, the ones that we got in Cataclysm. So like the Deadmines is the Deadmines from the Cataclysm, just with the old mobs in it. And I don't like that. First of all, I know those files are there because we're playing them in Classic. So the old Deadmines is still there. For whatever reason, they decided not to put those into the Classic Time Walking. I feel like it was kind of unfortunate. It was maybe a little bit lazy. That's okay. It's fine. It's, ultimately, what do I care if it's the original Deadmines map or the new one with the teleports and everything, or, the original live strat or the one with the undead in the Scarlet area, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The point is you can go run these dungeons and you can get a hero track raid item. So yeah, there you go. Okay, the PvP brawl for the week is Arathi Blizzard. Put away your bathing suit, pull out your parka, and enter a winter wonderland as the Arathi Basin you know and love gets a fresh coat of ice and snow. You'll be racing your way from the farm, stables, mine, lumber mart, and blacksmith through piles of snow and over a mostly frozen lake. One more thing, the weather forecast calls for a bit of fog of war. I hope you're prepared for the weather. Yeah, this one's really fun. I really love this one. Yeah, Arathi Basin is my favorite battleground of all time, and I think this is probably my favorite brawl. So there you go. When you zone in, you'll get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. And finally, as I mentioned, Turbulent Timeways is continuing on this week. You have this is week 4, so there are 2 more weeks after this. So if you did not do time walking for the last 3 weeks, you are unfortunately too late to get your mounts. But if you have run it at least one time in the last 3 weeks, you can do it this week. And then 2 more. Next week is Burning Crusade, and the week after is Dragonflight again. And you will be able to get your Spawn of Vyranoth mount. You just need to get the Mastery of Timeways buff for 4 weeks. And once you have the buff, if you hold on to it, you just need to refresh it. So if you've done time walking 4 times and you got the buff, and then when you do it again, you just need to do 1 time walking and you'll refresh the buff and it will count for an additional notch. So, or you could just run a bunch of time walking if that's what you want to do. I mean, some time walkings are really fun. I don't particularly like this one, so I'll probably just do the 1, but it's okay. It's all right. However you want to do it, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. You are the master of what you want to do in World of Warcraft. You get to decide. Okay, that's it for the news. Let's move on to our main topic of the week.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
First of all, let's go through what happened. We're just going to go through the facts first, what we actually know, and then we'll start talking about some of the the meaning behind it, the repercussions for it. So there was a Reddit post, Blizzard GM death touching mobs in M+23 for their favorite streamer, log linked. So what this person said was, and this is a throwaway Reddit account, so they said, to preface this, I have no idea if the title is accurate about the favorite streamer, but I did check VODs, and she was, in fact, not streaming when this run happened. Also, I'm pretty sure the GM was in the dungeon the entire time just watching and waiting. So I was perusing some M+ logs today when I was at work, and I stumbled upon this curious one, a miraculous key. No right to be timed, so far behind, and yet they pulled it out of nowhere for the win. Guess my surprise when I couldn't figure out how something died so quick, so I dug a bit deeper, and a GM death touched the mob. I waited all day to post this, hoping Blizzard will come out in front of it, but here we are. Another M+ season tainted by cheating or incorrect title recipients. Can't say I'm surprised, but this one is a bit more egregious than forgetting to shut off the title at the end of a season. So, here are the facts. The Warcraft logs appeared to show a Blizzard employee with GM powers using an internal area death test ability inside a 23 Nexus Point Zenith run. One player later admitted, and this is on stream with Growl. If you don't know who Growl is a streamer. He goes, I think his tag is Yummy TV or something like that. He's got a picture of a cat with a waffle on his head. That's the guy. Growl was talking to one of the players here who I did not see whether or not he identified who the player was. And I'm not trying to witch hunt or identify who these players are. Quite honestly, I don't care. But he admitted that he asked the GM friend for help, describing it as doing me a solid, while also acknowledging it shouldn't have happened. Blizzard publicly responded that they are investigating and emphasized that they won't tolerate cheating. And Raider.io has invalidated the run pending Blizzard's investigation. That's what we know so far. These are the facts that we've got. Everything else is kind of gray in terms of how this story has progressed. There's a lot of discussion online, on Reddit, on the WoW forums, different locations where people are either upset or saying, one of the things that came out of this is that people were saying, well, the people who were friends with the GM, because it was 4 people who are all friends and friends with the GM. And again, this is all hearsay because this is what people are posting online. I already went through the facts. This is now what people are saying, not necessarily things that we know for a fact. What people are saying is that there were 4 friends and their GM friends, so it's 5 people. The GM was there in the dungeon with them, but not actively participating, just kind of watching. The 5th person, who was the tank, was the only person who would be getting score from this key. So when they completed the key, they realized they needed percentage, and so the player asked his friend for help, and that's when I said he described it as doing me a solid to just death touch one of the mobs so that they could get their percentage and move on with the keystone, or complete the keystone. That really kind of it adds a little bit of context, but again, we don't know this for a fact. All we know is that there's a Warcraft log that does show this, and Blizzard did publicly acknowledge it and respond to it. So here's why I want to talk about this, and we can go through all of the minutia of, well, this person said this and that person, and none of it really matters. At the end of the day, to me, this isn't really a story about this GM cheating or this group of players cheating. It's a story about a system where one mob can become worth risking your career. If you're a GM and you're like, hey, I've got this cool job and I really enjoy it, and my friends are here, they're doing a Mythic Plus, and I'm going to kind of hang out with them and watch what they're doing. Oh yeah, sure, I'll just death touch this one mob for you. What is it about the Mythic Plus system that would make somebody do that? And why is it that we are at this point? First of all, we know that cheating is rampant throughout WoW. Bots, hacks, exploits, a million different things and ways that people figure out to cheat. But to me, at least, this is the first time seemingly that we've seen it performed by a Blizzard employee on behalf of a player. And that starts to beg some serious questions. And I think it deserves a look into the bones of Mythic Plus. and how something like this even came to pass. So let's talk about Mythic Plus first and why it is that this is so important, because people are really angry. This isn't just oh man, that happened, oh shucks. No, people are livid with this, because competitive Mythic Plus, I feel, has evolved far beyond what Blizzard originally designed for Mythic Plus. We've got seasonal titles, leaderboards, Twitch audiences, sponsorships, race to world first implications. You've got your recruitment value, creator prestige is a big part of this. We've seen it happen time and time again where Blizzard will bug fix something because a content creator found it. If I found that, nobody gives a shit. But because some big time streamer found it, oh well, now we need to do something about this. We need to fix this because they're pointing it out on their stream. But at its core, Mythic Plus is still the same thing that it was back in Legion when it started, which is, did these 5 players finish the dungeon before the timer and clear 100% of the mobs? That's it. That's what Mythic Plus is about. Everything else around it is superfluous. It comes from third parties. It's not part of what Blizzard designed 10 years ago. So why is this such a big deal to me? Because players have created this almost a cottage industry around something that Blizzard provided. It's like, okay, Blizzard gave us Mythic Raid. Cool. And players started the race to world first. Blizzard doesn't do that. Players are doing it. But these players who are doing the race to world first have all agreed and organized how that's going to go. Mythic Plus is the wild, wild west, because you have 5 people, and sometimes it's not even the 5 same people. Sometimes it's a pug. Like this plus 23, they had a pug tank where they just found some tank because they needed a tank, and he wasn't part of their team. He wasn't part of their group. So who was agreeing on these rules? Did he agree to be part of this run that was going to get banned? No, probably not. We don't know. But what is it that makes players feel like this is something they need to do? If you're running a plus 23, and again, going back to this interview that was on Twitch with Growl and this player, he didn't feel like it was necessary to go and do the work on this because he called it a, quote, homework key. And if you know what a homework key is, it's basically if you are running keys, let's say you are at 21 resilient, and you're running 22s, and you want to run a 22 Nexus Point Zenith, for example, but you don't manage to get it, and it degrades down to a 21. Well, you're gonna have to run a key in order to get your key back to be able to run your 22. That's what people are talking about when they're talking about homework keys. It's that key that you have to do, but it's giving you nothing. It gives you no score. It gives you no, you're not any closer to the title. It's basically in players' mind, it's a waste of time because it doesn't give you anything. These are players who have everything maxed. All their gear is maxed. They have all the crests they could possibly obtain. Everything. They don't need anything from Mythic Plus except for score. So when you run something, you run a key that doesn't give you score, that's a homework key. And that's the problem. That's where we're running into this issue. So, it's bad. It's really bad because players they want to optimize everything. They are building their entire Mythic Plus experience about rating. Does this give me rating? They're not trying to improve the gameplay. Oh, let's get teamwork. We're going to try, a different comp or so. No, it's just about give me rating. I want just rating. And where does that bring us? Where does that take us for Mythic Plus? We have things like buying keys, title selling, account sharing, exploiting bugs. These things have all happened in the past. And players have gotten punished for it, sort of, but usually they get off pretty light. And so that just incentivizes this more and more and more, to the point where we are now asking your buddy who works for Blizzard to do me a solid on this. Why? Because players want score. And this wasn't even a scored key. They just wanted to get through this so they could get to the next one, which is one that in theory would give them score. So why are we at this point? why are our players at this point mentally where this is all that matters? Because Mythic Plus used to be about the challenge. Hey, this is fun. I'm doing something cool, and I'm getting gear, and I'm trying to improve what I do so I can, get my gear a little bit better and do, now it's just about the score because Blizzard created the title. And that title is the 0.1% of all Mythic Plusers or the top 0.1% score of all Mythic Plusers win a title. So if you're not in that 0.1%, guess what? No title for you. And it's a big deal. People get really competitive about this. And so to me, it harkens back to the old style of battleground ranking or honor point ranking in vanilla WoW, where if you weren't running battlegrounds constantly, you were actually falling behind. So the only way to stay in front is to go and raid or do battlegrounds over and over and over again, primarily Alterac Valley over and over and over again, until the point where as soon as you get your rank 14, people quit because they're like, I'm done. I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm sick of it. But once you start down that path, you have to complete it, or you feel like it's a sunken cost fallacy. You feel like wasted your time. So here we are now. And I'm not saying that the title itself is bad. The title is fine. It's that Blizzard created this moving goalpost. If they said, hey, everybody that gets over, 3,800 score gets a title. Okay. All right. That's less of a big deal, but you have to push constantly to get higher and higher. If you say, man, I have all 23s. Well, what if somebody has all 24s and they get ahead of you? Now you got to get 24s so you can stay caught up. Otherwise, you're going to fall behind and you might miss out on that title. So how can we fix this? How can Blizzard say, all right, we're going to fix this? Because, yeah, you could just get rid of the title. Sure. But it is kind of cool to have something, especially something prestigious like, hey, I got Mythic Plus title in Midnight Season 1. Isn't that cool? Yeah, that's awesome. Did a GM help you? We're trying to avoid that sort of thing where we don't want players to feel like they have to go down that route. So, how can we improve it? Well, there's a couple of ways that you could do it. And look, I've sat on this podcast before and talked to the people, whoever's listening, and said, hey, here's an idea that I have. And then I get a million comments, or not a million. I get some comments saying, well, that's a terrible take. That's a terrible idea. I get it. Not everyone's going to like my ideas, but I am going to continue to throw them out there because otherwise, what's the point of having a podcast if I can't tell you what I'm thinking? What if Mythic Plus was more like sports? So in sports, you have different ways of approaching your how you rank players. What your stats are. And the one that I really want to look at is baseball, because baseball is by most accounts the most stat heavy sport, at least North American sport. I don't know about non-North American sports. I do know a little bit about soccer. Because that is a North American sport now. But I mostly know the 5 North American sports: baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and soccer or football. But in baseball, that has the highest number of stats that you can track and account for. How many hits did you have? How many runs did you score? How many of those hits were doubles? How many were triples? How many were home runs? How many RBIs did you have? What was your on-base percentage? What was your slugging percentage? What was your on-base plus slugging? What's your OPS plus? What's your, there's so many stats that you can track for players, and to give you a really good indication of how good a player is. If I said, hey, this guy on this team is, if you know baseball, he's batting 300 and he's got 30 home runs and 96 RBIs, you'd say, wow, that's a pretty good player. Even without looking at the more advanced statistics like OPS or any of the other modern metrics. You could look at old-fashioned metrics and still have a pretty good idea that, hey, this is a good player. With Mythic Plus, it's really hard to do that because all we're doing is looking at what was the highest you got, right? So if let's look at basketball for just a second. If I said the scoring title is going to go to whoever scores the most in a single game, not whoever has the most points at the end of the season or something like that. No, we're going to look at who has the most points, or who scores the most points in a single game in the season. That would change the way that players approach basketball, wouldn't it? They would be more selfish. They would try so hard to score 80 points in a game. That would be everybody's goal, because you want to win that scoring title. Instead, it's who has the longevity to do a lot of points or whatever, which is great. But in every sport, there's a metric that we can use to kind of identify, like, okay, how good are you? In baseball, that's your batting average. Your batting average or your on-base percentage. These are both stats that you can use to determine how often you're going to hit the ball or how often you're going to get on base. And so, if we drew the same comparison to Mythic Plus with baseball, you would say, what's your Mythic Plus average, right? Not what's the highest key that you've attained, thus creating your score. What if your score is based on your average? Hey, of all your keys, here's how well you did. Here's the number that you completed. Here's how many keys you ran. Here's the highest percentage you were able to get. Here's the, whatever the stats are. And I'm not saying here's my solution to Mythic Plus. I'm saying we need to rethink how we're doing this, because just looking at the highest of everything isn't going to give us the good idea. We need to look at kind of a sample or an average of how you are as a player in order to rank people properly, because this high level push is, honestly, I think it's bad for the game. When Blizzard went through and changed Mythic Plus, and we're going to talk about the history of Mythic Plus here in a second, because there's a lot more than just this one argument. When Blizzard went through and shrunk down the keys, I thought, okay, well, 10, maybe 20 is going to be the highest we're going to go. No, we're still pushing into the 20s. Why? Because people need to get higher and higher. And it's that constant striving for the best that you can do. So what if instead of your highest keys, your seasonal rating was based on your 3 best runs or your 10 best runs, or some sort of average performance throughout those runs? The consistency, how many deaths you had, how many wipes you had, how many abandoned keys you had, versus how many completed keys you have. What was your healer efficiency? How many interrupts did you have? How much avoidable damage did you take? And that's, going to be like a negative, not just I timed to 23. Now it's, okay, that 23 Nexus Point Zenith that they cheated on, it doesn't matter, because these average rankings or more general rankings are going to give us these stats. Now, we don't actually have this information available to us right now. This is something Blizzard would have to provide. But I think that it's something that they certainly have access to that data. So, yeah, I think that that's something where we could really break it down. And honestly, I hate to say it, but Blizzard needs to earn some trust with the player base, and this could be a way to do it. Right now, when you look at a run on Radar.io, Warcraft logs, or wherever you're going to see it, if you see it there, you assume it's legitimate. But what if Blizzard instead verified every leaderboard run, every single one, automatically? So if you see GM commands, developer accounts in a particular instance, an impossible spell ID, a modded clients, server events that are a little unusual, impossible damage values, weird abnormal movements, things like that, boom, instantly, that's an invalid run. It doesn't even show up. Why? Because Blizzard has the ability to track that. They can do it. We don't have to go through and do all this detective work in Warcraft logs and post on Reddit. It's just verified from Blizzard. And it's possible that you could, and again, I don't know if this is the right way to go, but what if we changed it so all of this competitive Mythic Plus happened on maybe not necessarily the tournament realm, but something similar to that, where it's like, okay, do you want to do a normal Mythic Plus or do you want to do a competitive? These are the verified Mythic Pluses. That means Blizzard is going to be tracking everything that you do. And if you make a mistake, you're done. You cheated, you clever use of game mechanics, whatever you want to call it, those things instantly invalidate your run because Blizzard is verifying them. Yes, that would take actual employees, but we've seen Blizzard actually does have GMs. Boom. Roasted. There you go. I think, there's a lot of ways that Blizzard could do this. There's a lot of things that Blizzard could do. Like I said, more stats, give us more information. Make the ranking about, or your score about more than just how high of a key did you time or how fast did you time it. Let's score people. What's your interrupt score? What's your avoidable damage score? I'd like to see those numbers. I'd really definitely like to see those numbers. Let's take a step back because I did want to talk about this. And I was trying to figure out where to fit this into it. And I'm just going to shoehorn it in right now. Before we come to a conclusion on all of this, let's talk about how the system has grown, because this is really important to understanding where we're going with this conversation. So when Blizzard first introduced Mythic Plus, this was a replacement for challenge mode that was introduced at the beginning of Legion. So it gave us things like infinite scaling, affixes, which were a little bit different than they are today, but there were affixes. They changed the combat res rules, loot scaling, all of these things happened in Legion. So they were working on this system during Legion. There was the putting in the building blocks of it. It was Blizzard kind of saying, how can we make this work? How can we make this mode work for the player base? So it was very experimental. Once we got into BFA and Shadowlands, it kind of changed from how can we make this work to what can we do to keep this fresh? How can we make it so the players are not just running these same dungeons a million times and they're bored? So we got things like seasonal affixes. We got the Great Vault. We got Valor points returning in Shadowlands to upgrade your gear. You get specific seasonal rewards now with the title. So that grew the competitive scene. These things all happened in this kind of second era of Mythic Plus. And I did a lot of Mythic Plus in Shadowlands, and I can tell you it was still a little rough around the edges compared to how things are now. And so obviously now moving forward into the kind of modern era of Mythic Plus, the question is really, how do we make Mythic Plus easier and more accessible without sacrificing depth? And that's something that they've definitely done. They've introduced the new dungeon rotation system. They got rid of the seasonal affixes. That was just adding it, making it too complex. So players can come in and it's easy to understand, oh, here's the affixes. They squish the keystones, like I said, in Dragonflight. They changed all the affixes. We got all their new Xalatath affixes. And the Lindormi's Glow was a great way to introduce people to the Mythic Plus system who weren't familiar with how to pull a Mythic Plus. It's like, oh, just follow the glow. So this is kind of how Mythic Plus has come up, but now we're at a new spot, which is where do we go from here? And that's okay. We've simplified it. It's fresh. Every season is different dungeons. The system itself is pretty locked in, and just as a system, Mythic Plus is great. Now we need to start working on the external components, the competitive nature of it, the trusting these runs, verifying these runs. This is not just, hey, you ran Mythic Plus and did you remember to log? Oh, you forgot to log? All right, whatever, no big deal. No, there has to be a way that these runs are not just tracked as, hey, a run happened, but here's the stats, here's the box score for this Mythic Plus. Oh, look at that, Rogue had 73 interrupts on that run. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, this healer used his cooldowns this many times during the run, or the tank, whatever. Oh my gosh, this stupid Death Knight stood in fire this many times, took this much avoidable damage. What a noob, right? That's the type of thing that we need going forward for these competitive runs. We don't need that for, hey, I'm running a +3 with my buddies, or I'm just doing a pug and just, whatever randos happen to be there. I don't need all that. We don't need all that. We can. Blizzard could do it. But for the competitive runs, I want to see what's going on. Just like, if I'm playing beer league softball with a bunch of, 40 plus guys, we don't need to keep track of our stats. We don't. But if, I want to see the Dodgers and how they did, I want to see the box score. I want to know what happened. And that's what needs to happen for these competitive Mythic Plus players. They need stats. They need something that can kind of hold down exactly what's going on. Blizzard needs to give us a way to follow this without having to go, hey, this looks funny, I need to go investigate. No. This data can come from Blizzard, and it's not about how Blizzard can prevent cheating. It's how Blizzard can improve the Mythic Plus system so that the leaderboard itself has credibility, and players can look through and identify and understand what exactly is going on. It's not about what your highest key is. It's about how well you perform on those keys. And you're going to get an average score, or you're going to get some sort of weighted score that's going to improve it. But the goal here is to improve play, not to push keys. Because pushing keys is bad for everyone, because it just stretches out the system more and more. And now Blizzard has to try and figure out, all right, we stopped giving rewards at 10. Should we continue giving players rewards as they go up to the 20s and 30s? No, the whole point of the infinitely scaling system was that you were doing it for fun, to see how high you can go. Now you're doing it infinitely scaling as high as you can go because you're trying to get scores per title. And that's what needs to change. So there's still a lot that we can go through with this, and obviously I don't know all the ins and outs of the Mythic Plus system because I haven't really been participating with it in the last few seasons, but I would definitely love to hear from people. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you would do to fix the competitive Mythic Plus scene, and not fix like it's broken, but improve, make it better, make it valuable, something that you can see that Blizzard could do that would make these runs better. Do you want to do homework keys? Do you want to get rid of key degradation? Do you want to just get rid of resilient keys altogether and just say, just run whatever you want? As long as you've run a 21, you can now run a 22 whenever you feel like it. You can pick your key. You can pick whatever dungeon you want to run. You get to just choose what you go up to the panda and just be like, I want this key. There it is. Is that something that people want? Is the Raider IO score that Blizzard adopted during Shadowlands, is that bad for the game? Do we need to change it? Do we need to change how it works? Can we make it so that it is an average? What's your Mythic Plus average? Oh, I'm averaging this score in Mythic Plus, per run, right? And so a bad run is going to affect your score, but ultimately everybody has bad runs. And so if you go into a Mythic Plus and you say, hey, Blizzard's tracking everything that we do, so we can't make any mistakes, does that actually make it worse? Right now, people don't want to run with pugs. Now they only want to run with a fixed group. They only want to run with whatever the meta comp is. Is that going to ruin Mythic Plus? I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But I want to hear from people. What do you think is the way that Blizzard can improve Mythic Plus going forward into the next era? Because obviously this isn't something that they're going to do in the Last Titan, but it could be something that Blizzard does in whatever 15, 16.0 is, 14, what are we at? We're in 12, 13, 14, 14.0, whatever that is going to be. People are calling it WoW 2.0. Is that something that Blizzard could do? And obviously Blizzard's not going to listen to my ideas, but if the community starts talking about these things, I think it's important that we kind of break down what we have currently and go, is this working? Do we need something more? Do we need something better? Do we need something with more depth? Do we need something with less depth? Should we stop tracking keys altogether? I don't know. What's the best way to improve Mythic Plus? Because right now the competitive Mythic Plus scene is in shambles. Because not just because of this one event, because the title, there was the whole title people were getting title too long, and there's all sorts of issues with Mythic Plus, competitive Mythic Plus right now. Blizzard needs to do something. I don't know what they're going to do, and like I said, I don't know that they need to fix it, but there needs to be some way to improve what competitive Mythic Plus is in WoW going forward. So, all right, that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I'm sorry that I kind of went on a rant there at the end, but I read through this whole thing and I thought, man, I need to talk about this, because this is like, I would have jumped on this in the past, but I've been so out of Mythic Plus that I'm kind of like, well, I don't know the best way to fix this. So I hope that, give me some feedback on it. Jump on the Azeroth United Discord. You can get there by going to AzerothUnitedPod.com and leave me your feedback. Tell me what you think. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. Whatever. I don't know. Probably not right, but I do want to kind of throw out some ideas, because I think that if we don't throw out ideas, then we can't start working on a solution. And again, like I said, Blizzard's not necessarily going to listen to a solution from us, but all we can do is get it out there. So, all right. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. It's good to be back, but I'm not going to lie. This is kind of a challenge to put this episode together. It took me way longer than normal to go through all of the Wowhead, look at the news, and figure out the things that I wanted to talk about. So I apologize for this episode being so late, but sometimes that happens. And there you go. If you're enjoying the show and you want to help us out, you could consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those really help out with the distribution. So if you are inclined to do so, we would be very grateful. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can help us out by giving us a like and a subscribe, and leave a comment for engagement. Even if it's just an emoji, you could put a thumbs down emoji and I'll know that you listened to the ending of the episode because you didn't like my take on Mythic Plus. That's fine. I will accept that as long as you have some sort of interaction. I'm cool with that. The other way that you can help us out is you could consider joining our Patreon. Patreon is where people can give their IRL money to help out with the production costs of the show. As I've said in the past, the show itself is not necessarily self-sustaining, and I don't expect it to be anytime soon. But it always helps that people want to, or it's nice to know that people want to help out with the show, and that means a lot to me. So I do thank you all. You can get to our Patreon by going to patreon.com/AzerothUnited and jump on there. We have 3 different tiers of patrons. We have a free tier if you just want to jump on and kind of see what's going on there. We also have our standard tier, which is $1 per month. And then we have our friend of the show tier, which is $3 per month. So I do want to thank our friend of the show patrons right now. That is Stuglife, Theliel, Greybeard, Raven, Azrin, and Luch. Thank you all so much for your support. And thank you to all of our patrons. You all definitely help make Azeroth United possible. And that's it. So thank you again for listening. Remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real person on the other side of that keyboard. And you know what? I don't think any of us should cheat, but if that person on the other side of the keyboard is a cheater, you know what? Just don't run with them. But you could still be nice and just smile and say, okay, you do you, and I'm going to go do me. But we don't need to fight. We don't need to call names. We don't need to dox people and go after people. That's terrible. Please don't do that, people. Be nice and be kind and considerate and just have fun. All right. Take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.